Growing up, I lived in a remote village in Canada, one of the oldest in the country in fact, and there's this house that has been there for, well, a really long time. If I remember right, it was like 60 years old. It was fairly huge, 2-story with 4 bathrooms, 5 bedrooms on the top floor, where, when I was younger, I had my own bedroom, and a basement with 5 rooms and a laundry room. The basement was large and had no windows, so if the lights were off, it was absolutely pitch dark down there. That didn't bother me too much, but we'll get to that. It used to be a sort of hotel or multi-living unit that eventually was bought and was just used as a family home. Anyhow, I've had a fair amount of experiences there that I just can't explain. But 3 that stand out to me, I'd like to share with you now. So the first experience, my dad and I was probably around 12 years old at this point. We were coming back home late one night, and as we were driving down the road to the house, I noticed someone standing in my bedroom window, just looking out. At this point, I asked my dad, "Hey Dad, who's that up in my room?" He looks up and sees what I see, and goes, I don't know. It's probably your mum just getting laundry." We get inside after a while, and obviously, I ask my mum if that was her upstairs, as she was the only one home at the time. No, I haven't been upstairs since this morning." Needless to say, that freaked me out a bit, so I slept in my brother's room that night. My second experience, we had a TV in the basement's open area, and we had our gaming consoles, and it was used as an area for us kids to hang out and get out of the adults' way. Anyway, I like to sleep down there on weekends and watch TV late into the night or play games. But one night when I fell asleep, I woke up in the middle of the night. I remember just being awake for no apparent reason, but something sounded weird. I couldn't figure it out, and it was getting louder though, and eventually I could hear it right next to my head, and it was breathing. At first, I thought that it was mine, and I figured I was just half asleep, so I held my breath to check. But the breathing beside my ear was still going, and now I'm a little panicked. I sat there, frozen in fear, and just kept listening to this sound. The TV was right next to me, and I usually slept in front of it in a little makeshift bed on the floor, so I gathered my courage and, as fast as I could, quickly turned on the TV so that there was light in the room and turned around, and there was nothing there. Well, I rush to the light switch and turn it on, and I go back upstairs to my room for the rest of the night, and I avoid the basement for a while after that, unless I was with my brother. My third experience, this one, it sticks out to me the most. I was about 14 or 15 at this time, and we had a single computer on the main floor with dial-up internet that I would be on late into the night on weekends. The running theme here is that on weekends, I was a night owl, up all night, sleep late into the day kind of thing. This computer was on a corner desk that was right next to an end table with a lamp on it and sofa right next to that. So if I was sitting at the computer, my back left would be facing the end table and sofa, if that makes sense. My older sister had a kid a couple of years back, so there were baby toys and whatnot around the house. And she had this one doll that laughed when you pushed it on its stomach. It had to be a really good push too. No light tapping could just set it off like that. I remember logging onto the internet and surfing, visiting old websites such as Newgrounds and various forums that I visited at the time, all looking up old theories about how to get the Triforce on Ocarina of Time for the N64. You couldn't, but the internet was new, so people speculated and there were hoaxes happening at the time. Anyway, I was deep into my surfing when, all of a sudden, the doll starts laughing behind me. So I turn around and it was right there on the lamp table, propped up against the arm of the sofa, sitting pointed right at me. The living room is large and open, and to prop up this doll and turn it on and get away fast enough around a corner without making any sound before I turned around to look is, well, next to impossible. The floors are creaky as hell as well, and you can hear when someone walks around. I vividly remember not seeing the doll there before that too, and everyone else was asleep in the house. I checked all around the main floor and nobody was there. So I took the doll and I stuffed it at the bottom of the toy chest, putting everything else on top of it, and went to sleep for the night because, well, fuck that. I'm sure that more happened in that house, but those are the three that I remember mostly and vividly. As the next couple of years came and went, events became much less common, but we eventually moved to another house in my senior high school year. The house actually still stands and is now converted to an office-type building for the school division, but mostly looks the same. Every now and then when I visit my parents, they still live in the same town. I'll drive or walk by that house, looking at the windows, possibly hoping to see, well, something. But it stands as still and as silent as ever.